Oh, damn it wasn't recording when you said that.
So, oh my God, you're the pretty one.
Great, now they'll never know it wasn't recording. All right, so give me a talk through of what what's about to happen and what our goal is with here.
Okay, so for this podcast, usually for the first half hour, we kind of just shoot the breeze and wind up talking, and then people kind of cycle through it. But the alternate is if you want to jump right in, the name of this podcast is called Terraforming the Subconscious. And the general premise is I ask people, have you ever thought of your soul as a place? What might your spiritual landscape look like? And then we just explore that together. Okay. So,
cool.
Which route do you want to go?
I'm good. We can go right into it. Let's have some fun.
All right, cool.
I'm down.
Yeah.
Now, when we do this, are we exploring Michelle's landscape? Like, should I answer the questions from my drag persona, or you want Brandon's perspective?
Well, that alone is a very interesting premise. Do you feel like you have two different landscapes, one for each persona?
Kind of.
Really?
I think I'm attracted. Like Brandon's really into colors like greens.
Okay.
Like that's my favorite color is green. But Michelle likes to incorporate the entire rainbow. Like as you see, back there hanging on the wall, I have my rainbow butterfly dress. I was like, I like all kinds of. Michelle's inspired by textures and designs, and Brandon I think is more inspired by the functionality of architecturally interesting spaces.
Interesting. So can you give me a general a layout of what your landscape might look like, or is it very associated to colors and textures?
I'm not sure. I think Brandon would resemble some kind of outdoorsy landscape, something woodland. Just got probably a stream flowing, of course, open field, the open space and air, but there'd probably just be animals that would probably be really peaceful, very calm. I think Michelle would definitely have more of a urban, punkier, edgier street vibe to her. She's more of an attitude and personality, so I think her landscape would reflect more attitude and personality.
Oh, interesting. So your landscape feels very, it's kind of primordial and very ambiguous at this stage, or can you see a lot of detail?
This is very new, so I'm exploring it as we talk about it.
That's very cool. So, so Brandon feels like a kind of woodland vibe, and then Michelle has this kind of urban vibe. And where do you think that is coming from?
Well, growing up with Brandon's landscape, I grew up in the country, and I love hunting and fishing and taking the machete and cutting down trees and building forts like that. I could spend the whole day. All of a sudden, the sun sounds like, oh crap! I gotta stop.
Fortnite every night.
Yeah,
I didn't know that about you.
Oh, I'm super country.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I always say I'm the drag queen. If we'll go hunting, we'll kill a deer. I can tan it, hide, skin it, tan it, hide, and then make a dress out of it. I'll use the whole, all of it. I will cut up the meat. We'll make some deer burgers. I'll use the bones. Then I'll use the skin to make. I'll use it all. But I'm very country. My father was military and very woodland. So I only went to one kind of woodland forestry camp. So I don't have a whole lot of experience other than what he taught me, but my dad was a jack of all trades.
He
could take sticks and make traps. It was crazy.
Oh, very cool.
So I grew up around that, and I don't know, there's a little bit of destructive with chopping and breaking things and playing out in the woods, but there's also a lot of creativity in life and nature.
Very cool. So you'd spent a lot of time in the country and outdoors growing up, and then at about what age did you come to the city?
Probably around middle school was the first taste of the city life. So I'd say probably about 7th, 8th grade.
Okay, and what kind of taste of the city did you have?
I did not. I wouldn't say super city, but it was the first time it wasn't country.
The sticks,
literally. The first city life I would say was around turning 18 and first getting out and going to the bars and everything.
Okay. Cool. And so as you talk about Brandon's experience in the country, and are more details coming to you as you think about your woodland?
I don't know if it's a detail, so if I just am maybe
or
painting a picture of us, like I kind of can see like my backyard more so.
Okay.
Out in Powhatan. For a long time, when a hurricane came through, there was this tree that was huge diameter, ginormous, but it had been falling over. So I love Power Rangers. I got a Power Ranger tattoo. Oh, so I would like run up and down the tree and like I'm a Power Ranger, like like that image is really pop. Like I can totally like super vividly see that in my head. Sorry, my nose is running.
Are you okay? You okay?
Drag queen's nose just running for no reason.
and plus the lighting, you know, like
oh my god,
you must
lighting.
Be, yeah, you're radiating. I'm not used to all this. This is new for me, you know.
But yeah, no, I definitely that tree is really it's hard in my head. I really can see that tree, and it's in a non-specific creek. I kind of can flash back and forth to be like a creek in my childhood and a creek in Powhatan, but it's not like exactly focusing on one.
Okay, why do you think that tree stands out to you so much?
I played on it a lot. Okay, I did a lot with it, like on the backside where all the roots were exposed, and there's this cool little cubby hole. Like I was taking a stick and like digging out and like taking all the clay and like exposing the roots. Like there was just a lot of different interesting things about that tree because I was playing around it in like middle and high school. Okay, was around the time I was playing with this tree all the time. I didn't have a whole lot of friends in high school. I had a tree.
Hey, I feel you.
I had a tree.
I feel you, and it's cool to me to do this podcast and kind of learn that about people because especially to me, like I relate to that a lot. Like I grew up in a very I didn't know there were other kids in my neighborhood until middle school, and it blew my mind. Like we managed to have a bus full of kids. Like I had no idea. Everyone in my neighborhood's like 55, and they had kids, but they've all got their own dental practices or something. Like So seeing you drag queens and all of y'all perform and knowing y'all have your, tend to have your reserve persona and then your drag persona, but learning a lot more about where you came from and where your spiritual roots really lie. Like it's eye-opening for me and cool to see how far you've come from that initial sphere. So you spent a lot of time playing around this tree and growing up in relation to this tree almost. And what kind of... where did you go? What kind of imaginal zone did you go to when you used to play?
Very warrior, very fighting. It was very much like the good guy had the powers. Very, very parallel to Power Rangers. It was a lot of jumping and throwing my leg out like a kick and like just kind of pulling poses and just thinking you're the coolest freaking thing in the world. Very before like Ninja Warrior came about. Okay. The way I would like to go fast and like jump, bounce back and forth and jump and hop across. So it was like kind of like a parkour Ninja Warrior prequel-ness. But I did so much around that tree because, like I said, I didn't really have much to do. So you go out in the backyard and it's like, well, there's a tree laying there. You can climb on it.
Yeah. And then did now that you're into drag, like this may be kind of a jump, so correct me if I'm wrong or anything, but do you feel like there's a kind of connection between drag almost and then Power Rangers and the emotional place that you started in? Like,
very.
Yeah?
Yes, they're very similar. Michelle is very much a Power Ranger. It is just an adult version. It's kind of like you...
So today you're the Yellow Ranger with all the others?
I'm the Gold Ranger today.
There is the Gold Ranger.
I am the Emmy-winning Gold Ranger. I am the Golden Globes of Power Rangers. But no, Michelle is a superhero. She is a costume. She has more powers than Brandon does, and it's not something I hide behind, but it's definitely something like I step into her shoes and I suit up and like, here we go. Like I am the other half of her power. Like Michelle only has half her power by herself. Like it's just a costume and a gimmick over here. But until I put it on and I put it all together, then that's when it hits the Power Ranger. But it's very parallel to back then.
So it really is a persona and it is surely a confidence that you've integrated and you can embody when you want to and when you need to.
Very.
Like that?
Yeah, you can tap into it.
What kind of powers do you feel like Michelle has discovered?
I can really command people's attention.
Mm-hmm.
I can really control the attention instead of like maybe like where I'm on the microphone. I can hold people's attention and keep it while I can say like the whole spiel of what I say. I definitely think I have a unique approach to friendship because I am so wild. Like I always tell everyone I'm gonna meet you like 13 times before I finally remember your name.
Oh yeah.
So there's always like this underlying joke that we have that we don't realize that we have together. So with this underlying joke that we have that we don't really know it's there, there's always something going. There's always something between me and someone else.
Very cool. Let me pause this real quick.
Yeah. I'm enjoying this. This is really fun.
Good.
I like this setup. This setup's a good setup. I like this.
I'm glad. Yeah.
I was just sitting here looking at my pants like, well, I guess I can just dabble.
All right. So we're coming back from a dead battery.
Oops, just kidding.
Yeah. So we were just this interview is so cool, and I, having just casually met you at the club or seen you perform, it's so fascinating to know this side of you. So we were talking about your different powers that you've picked up as Michelle, and you were talking about your magnetism, your ability to draw energy from people and kind of hold their attention. What other powers have you kind of gained as Michelle?
Ooh, these are some magical things right here.
Your claws.
I can do anything. I can do anything with these hands. I always said growing up, I didn't know what I would like do in my life when I get older, but I always said I was going to be creative and I was going to use my hands. And my hands have completely manifested this entire career. I make my garments and my costumes, and I have the ability to steer my own visions in a specific path. My hands also give me the ability to like create like my mixes and things. Like I'm chopping them up myself. So
you do your own mixes.
Yeah, I'll make my own drag mixes. I don't make wigs, but my hands giving me the ability to click purchase now.
Especially in quarantine.
Yeah, absolutely. But especially with quarantine, everyone's getting really creative, and I've gotten really creative during quarantine, and it's all been my hands. It's all been random ideas, and I'm just like, let's just try it and see what happens.
That's cool. So, do you almost feel like you've become more creative in quarantine, or?
I don't know if it's that I'm necessarily more creative, but I'm more committed to the creativity.
There you go, and that often goes hand in hand. Like it's that commitment that's waiting for people.
Yeah, it's definitely part of the recipe.
Very cool. And let's see, when did you start to? I guess what was kind of your journey on drawing on these powers? Like, I don't know. Like that question's very ambiguous. I don't know if you can.
I'm not sure. I guess going through the crap I went through growing up and the stuff I had to fight through just everyone, we all had tales of our childhood and things and what we've had to go through. So I think that is pretty much most of the recipe because we're all hurt in a different way. And because we're hurt in a different way, we get pushed in a different direction, a different funnel that because we got pushed that certain way, we're going to come out a certain direction. And I pretty much all say it's because of that. But I also have to say, I am probably finding these powers and being this creative because I am gay. I think that has a lot to do with it. There's a lot more. I think there's a lot more freedom being a gay man than it is a straight man. There's a lot of different inhibitions are let go that aren't held by a straight man. There's a gay man and vice versa. But the ability to say, I'm just going to try it and just do it. Got that trait. I have it 100%. And that's part of the battle.
Yeah. And it's funny for me. Like, I know a lot of my family or a lot of my friends kind of, we're like, Jason, that's an interesting choice of work, working at Godfrey's, or it's an interesting inner circle of friends, you have there.
Are those men?
Or, even people who are in my inner circle of friends, they're like, well, Jason, are you like, is there something you need to tell us? And it's like, no, I am who I am, but that's what the energy and the excitement that I get from the family that I've picked up at Godfrey's is because I know that trying to box yourself into like a basically straight persona you're like walking around with one arm because you're refusing half of your intelligences, because you're denying a mode of looking at the world that, you know, it's like you're actively repressing an alternate mode of looking at the world. You're shutting off half your mind, half of your creativity, half your libido that you can draw from. It's like, and it's a kind of, with this podcast is the underlying theme of individuation. You know, what Carl Jung talks about, self-unification, is the idea that, look, the path to individuation and manifesting your highest potential can be scary, because you're stepping out into new unknowns all the time. And there can be a bit of chaos as to how the people around you might perceive that, or how you might perceive that. You don't really know how far your limits go, but we comfort ourselves in fitting into a certain box and certain dimensions that we can put an identity on. And it's like that's just the common theme you'll hear in all these episodes of talking to people is how stifling it is to try to make sense. You're cutting off your libido and your energy. So allowing myself to be misunderstood potentially, has been a scary journey, but has been deeply interesting. And I like to get up as close to the boundaries as I can without, having to cross anything. And so I love hearing you talk about this stuff. Yeah.
This is very cool.
You like this?
This is very cool. I'm enjoying this.
Cool. And this is another thing that we'll do on this podcast, and I can really see it developing for you is, like you said, you never really thought of this question until this podcast, and your soul image was very amorphous, and you're speaking it into existence as we talk right now.
Yeah.
And that's a big element that I want to draw into the podcast. That's why it's called Terraforming the Podcast. The more we explore together, the more I ask questions, the more you speak it into existence and understand the links where this stuff comes from, it changes. Your imaginal dimensions expand and evolve, and your possibilities transform, terraforming your subconscious. So that's the whole energy behind this. That's and cool. This is I don't do drag. I don't have
what? You don't do drag?
What?
Get out of here.
But this is me. This is my form of, stepping out way beyond my bounds and really finding a common ground with people and getting us together to kind of step beyond. And in my case, it's an imaginal realm, being able to share an intellectual and spiritual psyche together and explore that, So I'm really excited to hear that you love this.
Yeah, this is cool. I love that you started this.
And I feel so much commonality, as I didn't know you were such a closet Power Ranger nerd.
I am a weirdo. I am a wilderness man. Like,
I see that. Yeah.
Come on, now we'll nerd out. I go to GalaxyCon and everything.
Oh, cool! I didn't know that. As Miss Universe,
no, I went as the Red Ranger.
Is it always the Power Ranger?
No, I went as the Red Ranger. I went as my big dragon costume, and then one day I just went as just to walk around. I was like, what am I telling to put on makeup today?
Very cool. Why do you feel like such a draw to the energy of Power Rangers and the idea of Power Rangers?
I don't know if I really have an answer to that. There's it has with how Michelle likes all the color. There's a lot of color.
Okay.
There was a lot of creatures, so it had some sci-fi-ness to it, and I do enjoy sci-fi a lot. There was of course the martial arts part can kind of tap into everyone. And there's just something cool with the hiya and a hit when you holler out the keys and or whatever that hiya, what is, I just can't remember what it's called.
Hey,
I thought it was called a key or something, but when you yell that out and you hold the pose there's something strong. It's kind of like cleaning your room. You just feel good after you clean your room. Holding that, just going, that key. Ha! I don't know. It just feels good to. I don't know.
Well, you are right. I think it probably, and I don't know, but ki, is Japanese for energy. So yeah, holding a ki, that's a really cool way of putting it. And I love the way that you use that turn of phrase. You as a drag queen in your golden dress and you're holding your ki, and that's a power I would love to be able to embody.
Power Rangers, come on.
because I'm such a person, I've always lived so much in my head, and there's always been such an immense divide between my head and my body. because that's how I had to survive. Like, I just felt like I never really put roots down into my physicality, you know, and that's all part of, you know, my personal journey. What I'm learning is how to bridge the mental and the physical, and it's so fascinating. I think that's why I get so fascinated to spend time around you guys, because y'all are so in the body, and you're so like, your mind and your body is so in harmony. It's like you look there and everything just goes with it, you know, like it's really cool.
That's an illusion too.
Yeah.
What you just said is like, you never really got an opportunity to like put down roots. It's like, it clicked in my mind. I was like, I wonder if that's why, in the sense, like, when we started, it's like, are we doing Michelle's or Brandon's like landscape? And you're like, oh, I didn't even, that's something I didn't even think of. It's, well, I mean, I really didn't start putting, I guess, my own personal roots till I was like 18, and when I was 18, Michelle and Brandon were both starting life at the same time.
Very cool.
So that could be a very much reason why I do see like, oh no, there's two complete full outlooks right now, two landscapes.
Very cool. And maybe that'll be a cool element that I have a feeling we might see as we do more episodes together, that right now the worlds and the realms and the imagery is very disparate, and but as we discover where these soulscapes are coming from and where the imagery is coming from, I'm wondering if that more and more they can harmonize into one plane, where all these dualities and, you know, of urban and woodland and everything can kind of more and more harmonize into one plane. And imagine the power that you might draw from having all your energies, all your libidos, all your personas united into one.
Yeah, wiring them
direction.
together.
You know, so who knows? Like, maybe that won't happen at all, you know? But, you know.
But it could.
Yeah.
It could.
Yeah, and it is a little bit where my journey has been, you know, because my worlds are uniting. And so even for me to be doing a project like this, stepping out like this, and being able to have a common ground to ask and share people, it's like, that's because my different worlds and planes and realities and fantasies and whatever are kind of uniting, harmonizing more and more. And it's like, well, hell with it, I'm going to channel my individual energy, you know, because I've always compared myself to other people.
Oh, well, we all do.
And I've always said, well, this person has this amazing gift, and that person has that amazing gift, and I've always hidden my gifts, you know.
I totally can relate to that. Yeah. I don't know why we do that. It's like, just because we don't, I guess, at that time see the gift that we're going to have to share. It's like, oh, well, why do you get a gift? Well, I'm just not even going to start searching for a gift that I could have in myself.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, because there's struggle involved in learning how to wield a gift, you know. It's like, I guess it's like whether it might be Power Rangers or Karate Kid, that training phase is always there, you know. But we watch the movie, like, we know he's going to become the Karate Kid, you know. But in our own life, we run away and from the training phase, you know. But it's like, I think that's why we kind of run away from our gifts. You know, passion has that meaning involved. Like, you're not technically passionate about something unless there's an element of suffering in it that you transcend. And then, you know, like, a passion, to have passion for something means to love it in spite of its hardships, you know. And I think a lot of us, we shirk our personal gifts or undermine our personal power because there is pain and hardship involved in that journey of manifesting it. But again, the path to individuation and the importance of finding your soulscape to play out these fantasies and these illusions, and kind of question it about, like, where are these anxieties coming from? How can I wrestle with them? How can I encourage myself to step out in spite of the hardships, and then to unlock your individual power? You know, like, that's all of that stuff's involved in why I wanted to do the podcast. And it's really cool to hear your journey, you know,
I'm
your
super
roots.
intrigued to find out what happens.
Yeah.
This is very interesting.
Well, good. Let's see. I mean, do you got anything else you want to throw out there? I'm kind of at a loss for a question at the moment.
I think the only thing I could really throw out there that would elevate this story or bring it to like another level is I don't do well with death.
Oh, interesting.
It's not that like I'm super hurt and emotional. Like I'm a little immune by it. I lost my grandmother and great grandmother, one on each side of my family, 2 days apart from each other.
Wow.
So it was just a long week of mourning and viewings and funerals, and it was a lot. And then I definitely say is what capped it off, and it was fine. Like, okay, like, wow, we hit the maximum of type of death things to deal with right now. So it's like when other people have people that pass away, I'm just like, I'm not in a rude way. I'm just like, okay, no, I'm very sorry. I don't have, it doesn't, I've been hit so hard with death, like simple deaths when they pass away I have no effect. There's no effect on me, and I didn't realize until those two deaths that happened. Prior to that, I didn't really share a lot of emotions, verbally, to early deaths. Of course, I cried. It was very sad, but the pain didn't stay with me. It didn't continue on. I didn't. It was like I felt it when the moment was happening, and then it was done. I was like, I was able to leave it. It was it was interesting. Now I just kind of completely separate from it.
Interesting. When did your grandmother
my grandmother on my mom's side and my great grandmother on my dad's side. We lost them on March 16th. No, March. Oh God, March 15th. March 15th. Oh Lord, it was right before St. Patrick's Day because my mom's side of the family we celebrate St. Patrick's Day super Irish, so it was like we always say she was holding on for St. Patrick's Day. She almost made it. But I think it was the because they were 16 hours apart, so one was the 15th, one's the 16th. That's why I'm saying them both. There we go. So I lost my great grandmother on the 15th, and then my grandmother died on the 16th, the morning of.
Okay. It's funny how we'll say the date for something and we won't reference the year. It's the date or the day sometimes that sticks out more than
because
the year.
We know what we're talking about when we say it. So it's like it made complete sense for me to say March 16th. You're like, all March 16th?
Oh no, that would be horrible.
Every year?
Oh my gosh, that would be horrible. But maybe in a universe that could be possible. Or spiritually possible, probably that's what should be happening to us spiritually. We should be growing to new realms. Old selves should be dying off, but hopefully not physical selves. So around what age were you when you lost them?
I was 18.
Okay, so
I just turned 18. So I'm probably 18 and a half.
So it was around the time that Brandon and Michelle kind of became started to fork.
Oh absolutely. I started drag 2 months after this situation.
Okay. Is it fair to ask that it had something to do with it? I mean,
I don't know. I really don't know because you were I love to get on the dance floor and just get it and dance. And the way I started drag is my friends at the bar were like, you should do amateur night. You should do amateur night. I was like, no, I have no interest. Like, I didn't know what drag was. Never knew who RuPaul was. None of that. Like, until I started going to the bar and they started experiencing that stuff. So, I mean, there was no like, I can't wait till I'm 18 and I can do this. It's like, I turned 18. I'm like, who's she? What is she doing? Ooh, that's fun. Feather costume. It was all new. So there was never a want to do drag. There was never a want for like an interest in makeup or like there was every element of drag except for dancing. I had like no previous draws to. The dancing, I love dancing. It's just a good passion of mine. But no, my friends pushed me to do the amateur competition, and because I did it once, I was just like, I'm good at this. So I just kept doing it over and over and over and over.
Because you grew up doing karate and
exactly. I had discipline. I had discipline and structure. I could do.
You trained the lion in the mantis pose.
I can be the female art of illusion.
There you go. This is a question I kind of had. Is do you feel like the roots that you had with Power Rangers and in nature, and do you still carry them in your mind now in the way that you think about? Well, I guess we're still exploring. We're still exploring how your spiritual landscape really works. But I'm trying to think how to phrase this question. Like it's interesting to me that when you grew up, you really had this strong interest in the relationship of good versus evil, and this very it was a very black and white kind of good versus evil like something like that.
Yeah, very cartoon movie, traditional.
How do you what are your like views of good and evil now? Like, does it still kind of look like the white and the black, or like how do you describe it now? That's kind of a weird question. But,
good and evil is not as black and white as it used to be, because even things that were black and white back then weren't black and white. Some things that were white were black. Some things that were black were white. It's everything's a little bit more secretive, I think is a broad way to say it. You kind of have to look deep and really understand what certain things mean, because it's not going to be blatantly obvious that I'm a black and white issue. You can read me like easily. Like, no, it's not going to have that. It's like, you got to go, hold on. If I think about that, okay, so this means that, because that means that you got, it's a little more secretive. It's harder to figure it out.
Is that still a difficult line to toe for you as you continue like growing in your life and kind of expanding your personality or stepping out? There's territories that, you know, you felt like, oh, like, I don't know, it's like you used to think like, oh, I shouldn't go here, but now it's like it feels like it's tied to your growth. Or
no, I don't think there's really any necessarily connection with no, I don't think there's really any connection at all. It's just something I can visually see, because I trust myself and I count on myself to do almost everything. So I know where I stand, and I know the type of person I am. So I already know I can continue moving forward at the pace I'm moving, doing the things that I'm doing, because I know the root of all of it.
I guess this is a tangential question, but do you feel like Michelle has a weakness? Like, if she has superpowers, do you feel like she has a weakness?
Ooh, she probably does. She has to. Of course, no one really enjoys criticism. I don't like things. I think for Michelle and Brandon, I don't like things told to me that I'm already aware of and I can already implement and fix, but it's not something it's not a light switch thing. It has to like wait for another time to happen. It's like, so being told something I already know, it's like, yes, I got it. Okay. And then it flips like the anger. So they both have an anger issue.
Very
totally.
Interesting.
100%. And that's,
but you need that passion and that drive, that anger, you know, it carries you through, but at the same time, if it's wielded in the wrong or not wielded in the wrong time, then it's you know, like a vice tied to a virtue.
Very, yes. Because it'll sneak up on me, and all of a sudden I'll be halfway through and it's like, oh, okay. So you just now clicking in, realize what's happening here, and usually I'm in too deep.
And that's so interesting to you know, even while, and I guess that's where I was coming from a little bit for the spiritual landscape, and then asking questions about the white and the black, and then how do we think about good versus evil? Because, you know, for instance, in somebody like me, like, I never learned to really wield my anger in a positive way. And I was scared to wield it at all, because it's like, it felt like that Pandora's box, like, ooh, anger's just all bad, you know. So I saw it as all black when I was a kid, because I saw the effects. But then as I step out and try to wield my personal power or rally my inner forces together, it's like, that is a part of me. It's like you're talking the 7 Power Rangers, or, you know, right, 7 Power Rangers, or they got all the colors, and it's like, well, if you take out red, you know, it's like they can't, you know, do the Mighty Morphin.
Yeah, they can't be the Megazord anymore.
Right.
They need there's a part missing.
Yeah, and it's like, that's such a metaphor for the path to individuation and achieving your capital S self. If you're leaving out any part of yourself, that energy is not being drawn up and flowing naturally and integrated into your libido. It's like, you can't achieve that capital S self, you know? And it's like, you know, I was even, I did an interview with Devin last night, and I was like, man, like, I admire your competitiveness, you know? It's like, I need to have that in order to achieve what I want to achieve. Like, I don't.
That's all right. That's awesome.
So it's like, I hope to bring that in. But Yeah, like we allowed this conversation to just branch out in all kinds of directions.
This is great.
You enjoyed it?
Very much. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm very cool. I'm
you
very interested.
You're even cooler now that I learned about your inner nerd.
This is very cool, and I'm very interested to see where it goes with this. This
cool.
is very intriguing.
Cool. Did you have any questions for me?
No, yeah? I'm very interested to see what it's going to look like looking back on the couple episodes that we'll have the opportunity to do with each other, and just be like, see where it starts and see where it ends, and then be like, wow, I didn't know what I actually knew.
Yeah. If you get into this, I really encourage you, and I don't know if you already do this, but I've started to journal it as my personal landscape, or as different personas that, because I was divided between my real life, my imaginal life, and different personas within them, or then even things I'm reading in books. It was all scattered, and I was like, I looked like a madman, because it was like, this is all part of me, but how do I unite it, So if you're really into this, like, I encourage you to like start journaling when you get a glimpse of your spiritual landscape, and you see something different in it, you see something new, and then maybe like try to jot down what was happening in your life at the time that you think maybe caused it to change, and blah blah blah. And then as we move further and further along this path, it really becomes terraforming the subconscious, because as you learn your relationship with your spiritual landscape, your subconscious, you have to negotiate with it. You can't force it to be anything that it's not, but you can negotiate with it. And just like a person like me, my landscape was a desert because I was pessimistic and socially isolated. It's like I terraformed it into bringing visions of life and vegetation, and then embracing more outgoing and then whatever self-loving energies in my personality. Like, I encourage you to try that, and then when we check in, do our next interview, like we'll compare.
Okay.
Last question: do you have anyone else that you think would enjoy this interview?
I think Monica Darling.
Okay.
She is very intelligent and could really connect with herself, and she would really allow herself to be true and honest. I think Monica would be great at this.
Cool. Well, I will reach out to Monica, and then one day in the future, maybe we'll get on and do a group interview, and then kind of talk about the experience really together. I'd love that. So, thank you for your time, Michelle.
You're very welcome.
Brandon.
Yeah.
And congratulations on your driveway drag.
Thank you very much. Thank
everywhere. You. Yeah.
All publications except for CNN. That's the only one that's left.
Well, give it a minute.
I'll call them.
Yeah, but you've been on a roll. So I look forward to seeing where you're going as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I look forward to doing more of these.
Yeah,
this is very cool.
Yeah,
thanks for having me a part of it.
Bye.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Awesome.
That was really cool. That was very interesting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been on my personal active imagination journey for like, at least 12 years. And there's always been a lot going on there, and I've loved always wanted to be able to talk to people about it and stuff, and I just needed the right approach. Mm-hmm. So once I found the question that everybody could, or a majority of people could respond to and get excited about, without all the tedium and without all the potential danger zone, whatever, like, so yes. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, that was very cool. Thank you for having me and being a part of it.
Yeah,
that was because I don't really have opportunities to do like intellectual things. So that's what really draws me to it, because it allows me an opportunity to do something I don't ever really do.
That's cool. Yeah, and it's an intellectual element, but it has a fun, imaginative, and
I got imaginary.
And so you learn the deepest parts of somebody in such a fun way. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I can't believe I was a country boy.
you may have told me long ago.
Country as hell. I like playing in the mud and everything. Also, I was right there at the end. I forgot I was going to mention it when you were talking about
on this camera again, because we're still talking and enjoying.
I know.
Here, we'll do it.
No.
Why? It's fun to see it coming off, but if you don't want to.
No. I'll definitely, because I'll touch on it next time.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.